What's happening, friends? It's Podcast Unlocked, the world's #1 Xbox podcast. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. That is the Shark, Sean Finnegan.
Jump, 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 jump.
I've been waiting a long time for that. It's good to hear it.
I don't know what just happened.
Shark is it's like a lion of the sea.
There are actual
That's a
sharks
sea lion.
So they make
in
chump?
Australia.
Okay, right.
Yeah. You probably swim with them.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very
don't we all? Really?
I guess.
Yeah.
Alana Pierce.
Hey, I'm Alana. What's up?
Marty Sleva.
Hi guys.
Long Island iced tea to start the show, Marty?
No, it's just regular tea.
I don't believe you.
Contrary to popular belief, I'm not always drunk. Very sober right now.
Just
you don't?
90% of the time.
90% of the time.
90s, you
That's
gotta
fine.
ease off the throttle every now and again, right?
Yep.
Marty knows no such thing.
Exactly.
What's happening this week? A lot of things. I want to actually start on a more serious note. So, unfortunately, the British, I don't want to call it government, but the sort of British business parlance of the whole 30-day, the notice they give before shutting down a business, like that's all. It's not like here where we could just walk in one day and it's like, you're all gone, bye. Like in the UK,
They have some sort of etiquette.
yeah, there is an etiquette about it. So unfortunately, last week was the final day of Lionhead Studios. They are now done. There was no nobody bought them, picked them up. There was no saving the game or the studio, as was sort of discussed and rumored a little bit. And I wanted to kind of start the show by remembering Lionhead a little bit. They're founded by I don't know these other guys besides Peter Molyneux, but founded by Peter Molyneux, Mark Webley, Tim Rance, and Steve Jackson in 1996. This was the 20th year of Lionhead, which I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Black and White coming out. What was that? The early aughts, late 90s.
I'd have to look it up.
And that was the first thing of theirs that I remember.
Yeah, I can look it up while
being
you're
put on the
talking.
map.
Wasn't that on original Xbox?
Oh no,
That was a PC
wasn't?
game.
yeah,
Huh.
never made it to a console.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the movies.
Yeah, it was on the original Xbox.
Right.
I thought the
360?
Xbox version was canceled
Oh.
because I
Might have
remember.
been.
Anyway, keep talking, and I'm gonna just.
Yeah, I mean, they
Look
were, they were right off the bat pretty notable in the PC realm, but obviously it wasn't until the original Xbox and the launch of Fable, which was one of those like insane. It was one of those moments where it's like, oh man, this can happen. I could do all of this. This was sort of when open world, especially in a high fantasy setting, was still a little bit early.
But even poor Fable was a little behind the 8 ball right from the get-go because Peter Molyneux, being Peter Molyneux, had talked about the acorn tree being the legendary example of you can plant an acorn seed and over the course of the game it'll grow into a full tree. And well, it didn't end up doing stuff like that, but I know you, Alana, you love Fable too.
Yeah.
You and I are both big
I
fans
love
of the
Fable.
original
And
game.
I remember when I was first introduced to Fable was because a whole bunch of other people at my high school had played it, and I hadn't played it. I don't know how old I was when it came out, but I remember someone lent me a copy, and for the next 3 weeks, people every day were asking me what point I was at. Like everyone was so excited about the fact that I was playing it, and
Was that
I guess
Fable
I
1
was
or
too.
was it
That
the
was
3?
Fable 1.
Good or
Yeah.
evil for you?
I have played through Fable 1 probably more times than any other game, and I always go good first and then evil and then I'll go neutral, and I've done that so many times.
I think most people's first experience with Lionhead is through the Fable franchise. I know mine is. I first played
Well,
that in...
a lot of PC gamers I think would disagree.
Yeah, I
I mean,
played
Black
it
and
on
White
PC.
I'm talking about the general audience out there,
certainly the Xbox crowd, obviously.
Yeah. But that was the first time when I actually realized I hadn't played an RPG at that point in my life in a pretty long time. I had been primarily shooters, that was the age of Counter-Strike and Half-Life and, that whole thing for me. And then I came to this game and I realized how far RPGs could really come, both in terms of the technical fidelity, but also the amount of options and sort of systems that were implemented in it really blew my mind. I didn't really know that type of game was possible.
I think one of the things the core Fable trilogy did so well was give you an open world without it becoming sort of paralyzingly huge.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think that's
the
one
only
of the reasons.
collectibles are really the silver keys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those were you kind of knew where to find them because it would be an out of place brick
Sure.
or whatever.
But it was never like, I think one of the reasons I've never gotten into a lot of those Bethesda open world games is because it's just, I enter.
It's intimidating.
It's
Yeah.
intimidating, and I need some modicum of this is what you're supposed to do, but don't worry, you can go off the beaten path. And I think like the
Optional
breadcrumbs,
breadcrumb trail, yeah.
I think that was just a really smart system because it's one of those like no matter when you get lost, you can always find your way back to what
Yeah.
you're supposed to be doing. And so
I mean, you could also like spawn to color skates. So like if you actually got lost, I think it was just you hold down on the D-pad,
yeah.
and you could go to a nearby color skate.
And you mentioned,
Yeah.
I mean, the demon doors were so great because they were
Demon doors
little
were
they were little
awesome.
puzzles unto
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, I really liked the way they were in the first game. I feel like they got pretty weird in the second game. They got easier and stranger, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of charm to Fable that was consistent throughout all of the 3 games I played because I didn't play the Journey, which
was
there.
A for effort,
Yeah.
C plus for execution.
Yeah, I was gonna get. I guess we'll go there. Yeah, I reviewed Fable: The Journey for
that-
IGN. Actually, it was. I forget. I feel like it was one of my earlier reviews.
Yeah, I reviewed it for 1UP, so it was during that small period.
And it was a game where I mostly did it here because there was better Connect space here than at my place, and I love the idea of it. A actual like different hand motions make different spells to defeat these little set piece, these little scenes of Hobbs and other Fable monsters. But yeah, it just because of Connect 1.0, it literally didn't work half the time.
That's such a shame.
Like I would keep having to
It'd probably work
recalibrate.
now.
Yeah, I'd keep having. It is true. I wonder what like an Xbox One version on Connect 2 would have worked a lot better.
Imagine like a Vive or an Oculus Touch version, which could
There you
totally
go.
work. Like,
yeah.
'cause
I mean,
don't-
that's a game.
the
but
thing I remember is it's the Insomniac game.
the
pretty much.
Unspoken, the Insomniac game where it's a spellcasting
Yeah,
Oculus game.
like I remember when it would work, you'd like power up a fireball by sort of like charging
Yes.
it in your hand and
And it
throwing
felt amazing when
did
it
work.
worked.
Yeah, which was 25% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally what that Oculus game is like.
Yeah.
I also just like the first Fable, I loved the combat. I also had like a bunch of stuff I was really specific about. Like I always wore a bright will user suit every single time. I don't know why it did like I was just really stuck on a bunch of different things, and I don't know, the spell casting was awesome. And
Yeah, you eventually got a
weapons were
dog.
Awesome. You could get a
Well,
dog.
That was
in two.
In
Yeah.
two.
So that's where I think for me, and I think it's generally agreed upon that Fable 2 was the high point of the series. I wouldn't be so bold as to quite call it Lionhead's best game necessarily. It might be, but Black and White is very much in that
Black and
conversation.
White's a good game.
I never actually played Black and White back in the day. I had missed it. You were right, by the way. It's 2001
Okay, yeah.
for Black and
Yeah.
White. And it was their first game, so they were founded and were working for a long time
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Because Black and White was sort of those notoriously like development hell was
I imagine.
Oh, was it really?
in development forever.
I imagine
and
both-
but it came out and was really good.
I imagine both Black and White and the original Fable were in development for
Yes.
quite a
Pretty
few
long
years.
time.
at
Correct.
least. Yeah.
Yeah, because Fable 1, they actually had to kind of finally get it out. It was promised so long ago, and it actually barely made
The original
the
Xbox?
original Xbox.
Yeah, it was pretty late. in
Like
the
it
cycle.
was. But yeah, Fable 2 sort of took everything that Fable 1 had laid down, expanded on it, blew it out a little bit, added the dog, which for me was, I mean, I just loved it. For me, the
was very
dog
pretty,
thing,
too.
very pretty
Yeah.
game on 360. Had 3 endings, if I recall correctly.
Yes, but
And-
they're all fairly similar, I think.
But you at least had some choices there at the
Yeah.
end. But yeah, I think for me, I love dogs in general, but in the context of a Fable game, having this canine companion,
It was actually helpful.
it was helpful, and it just fit that universe because Fable, it's one of the things I love about it is it's so charming from
Yeah.
the NPCs to the
sense of
writing,
humor.
the sense of humor, the
Like, the way it
gestures,
looks even.
the way the
Yeah.
art direction, it's all charming, and the dog just completely fit right into that.
Yeah. There was some
And
stuff that I really liked about Fable 3 as well.
Yeah.
One's definitely my favorite for the combat specifically.
fair enough. Yeah.
Which I felt was like Kingdoms of Amalur was like almost the Fable 2 I wanted in that sense. That game doesn't have a lot of
Yes.
personality, and there's a lot of stuff that Fable has that it doesn't have. But in terms of combat, I was like,
The
this is so much like Fable.
Amalur's mechanics were so good, and its world was so boring.
good, so boring. But
Yeah.
God, the combat was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. So then Fable 3, I remember having like the parts where you actually became king and you had to make decisions for people and like listen to both their sides of the story
Yeah.
and like decide who to give funding. Like I really enjoyed that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I thought it was super. Yeah, that was super interesting. It wasn't like perfectly executed, but it
No.
was one of those like really amazing ideas that I wish.
Especially when I was like on this throne, like in underwear.
Yeah.
Like just wearing ridiculous clothing.
You're the king. No one can say
Yeah.
anything to you. Yeah. But yeah, in the way that I felt like the jump from Fable 1 to Fable 2 was sort of we always compare like Assassin's Creed 1 to 2, where
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
an amazing core idea and then you expand upon it in every way with 2. I feel like some of those ideas with 3 I would have loved to see sort of perfected in a 4 for like Xbox One, which sadly we may not ever.
Yeah, you know, three didn't perform as well sales wise or critically for that matter, and we got the Journey, which I think we talked about. I don't know. We talked about at some point was an off. It was always an offshoot. Nobody had ever said, and at Microsoft or Lionhead and the community certainly never thought, oh well, this is Fable now, which is what happened with Legends. But Journey was always this weird Connect offshoot, and then there was Fable Heroes, an Xbox Live Arcade
The
game.
little like chibi characters, right?
Yeah, which was fine. It wasn't great, but it was hardly bad. And I'm leaving out the
pub games.
pub game. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Fable 2 pub games,
Those were great.
which were just a way to accrue a bunch of cash for yourself
I did the
before the
blacksmith
game
one.
came out.
Which I think is really smart. Like, get people hyped for something. Like now, I feel like that could work like in a mobile capacity, where like give them a mobile game to play
Totally.
a month before the game comes
Yeah.
out, and then when you start, you have
money.
you're a lap ahead of everyone.
Totally. So, Fable Anniversary for 360, which ironically was not on any real anniversary, or at least it was like the
9
ninth,
years.
9-year anniversary,
So
which
dumb.
I guess that's
I
an
guess,
anniversary. And then that ended up being it. The last, I mean, who would have thought that actually the last original release? I feel like
Oops.
I'm muting it and nothing happens, you guys. I don't know what to do. See? Nothing's happening. Anyway, we're going to have to just deal with it. When they're interrupting our genuine Fable segment, our stupid technical equipment. Anyway, who would have thought that the last original release, so I'm now leaving out Fable Anniversary because it was a remake, Fable The Journey for Kinect was the last proper original Lionhead release.
It's so sad.
It is. And not because Fable The Journey is bad, it's just, that's a long time. Fable The Journey was 2012.
Yeah.
2012. So 4 years later, there was a...
I still don't understand why they didn't just release Legends, but we've discussed
We've been
that
over
a
that.
bunch.
That's not the point of this segment, but
Yeah.
I wanted to, again, I'm going to end this segment by saying thank you to everybody that has worked at Lionhead over the years, from Peter Molyneux on down. I know Molyneux gets a lot of flack for Fable and a lot of things since then, but you know, the guy I always appreciated and still appreciate about Peter Molyneux that he at least aims for the stars. He doesn't necessarily get there. Some would argue he's never gotten there, but I think a lot of Fable, which by the way, the Carter brothers, Dean and can't remember the other brother's name, from Big Blue Box, which was an offshoot, a satellite studio of Lionhead. They Simon, there it is, found it. Simon and Dean Carter, they were the two brothers that were sort of the creators along with Peter Molyneux. But to everybody that worked at Lionhead, thanks for the Fable series. I hope we'll be hearing from you again. Just it probably won't be on Fable, but in fact, I know one of the Carter brothers, I now can't remember which, is actually working at Hello on No Man's Sky.
That's
He's
awesome.
one of the
cool.
12 people working at Hello Games. So,
Speaking of games with lofty promises.
yeah, speaking of games with lofty promises, but putting out the call one more time. We know our friends at Microsoft listen to this show. Give the Fable IP to Rare. Hire a bunch of the Lionhead folks. Reboot it.
Unless it means we don't get a Banjo game, then consider it deeply.
Yeah, I agree. If it means we don't get Banjo. then-
Well, now it's
please.
depressing.
Or if you could have a Fable game and instead of a dog, you had a bear with a bird companion. Don't do that.
and also some platforming.
Fable Kazooie.
You can just do the Bethesda thing, have them alternate franchises every 3 years.
Perfect.
Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Skyrim
Yes.
1 year.
Sea of
Rare will
Thieves.
just
Banjo.
make Banjo.
Next
Fable.
year.
What if Sea of Thieves
Fable.
is just a level in Banjo 3?
Oh.
It's just the pirate level.
That would be. We're getting off
God.
track, but I like your thought process. is.
Incredible.
Anyway, so rest in peace, Lionhead. 20 years of really cool games, and hopefully your spirit will live on in some capacity. We'll be right back after this. Remember, we're giving away a Quantum Break Xbox One bundle. Ooh. I have the winner. You can't. There's nothing you can do. Find out if you've already won.
Too late.
Right after this. All right, news time. I want to start with something that broke before the show for once.
I know. It's nice. Like 2 hours later, it would have been like we come out and everyone's like, oh my God.
Why are we oh my godding, Marty?
We're oh my godding because today is May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, it's Cool Star Wars Day, and EA announced that Respawn is working on a game other than Titanfall 2, and it's going to be a third-person Star Wars game.
Get the front door.
Get the Battlefront out of here.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused about this. I mean, one, I'm excited, but two, I'm confused. Respawn's a relatively new company. They can't be that big of a team.
Well,
do you think this is a secondary team?
It for sure is.
So
we'd known that. They had actually said they were working on a third person.
In 2014, they hired, his name is Stieg, Arnolson? Do you have his name?
I've got it. Yeah, it's Osmundson.
Wow, that was very, very racist of me. Stieg Osmundson, who was the director of God of War 3. So they hired him from Sony Santa Monica. And so, yeah, when he came aboard, it was sort of presumed that at that point he started working on another game.
Yeah.
And so that part of it, the third person, makes sense of that. And so what I'm wondering now is this going to be a shooty action game? Or given God of War's pedigree, is this going to be a physical, violent action game?
Oh,
That's a fair point, because
you saying that just makes me think if it's just God of War, but you're
Jedis.
a Jedi instead.
That sounds great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
To me, yeah.
You're a traitor, the guy with the hammer.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
No, but that's
He gets his own game.
Like in Quantum Break, they'll introduce a technology like that, and then the technology gets bigger and better. It becomes the basis for enemy types that have weapons or armor, and then I don't know. That
Every
sounds
time
so
you get
cool.
a power, there's an equal and opposite power that the enemies get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That you just have to use strategery to kind of defeat. That sounds so cool to me.
Yeah.
You upgrade your lightsaber.
EA's already got a third-person action game or third-person Star Wars game in development. That's Amy Hennig's game,
Yeah.
Visceral.
Yeah,
Which
so
everyone is
we're-
just sort of assuming it's going to be
Uncharted,
Right.
but
Star
Star Wars.
Which
Which
I
is great.
also think sounds
Yeah.
great.
100% on board with that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this just like anybody that buddies up with EA now, since EA
Well,
has the Star Wars license?
I think we have 6 Star Wars
You'll-
games in development?
You
Six
get a
studios.
third-person
Yeah.
Star Wars
Studios.
game, and you get a third-person
But
Star
totally,
Wars
if you
game.
give it to the people who made Uncharted and God of War, yeah,
It's fine,
totally.
yeah.
You can keep doing that.
Yep.
But so given Respawn's talents, you're saying God of War, which is fair, but I'm thinking maybe more Boba Fett. 'Cause
Yeah, which is-
jetpack and more shooting and action, because that's Respawn is largely staffed by ex-Infinity Ward people who have shooter backgrounds.
And Boba Fett's largely rumored to be the anthology movie released in 2018. Which it seems like if you announce this game now, it gets revealed fully at E3 next year. Maybe it's a 2018 game.
Yeah.
So
sounds about right.
yeah, it totally sounds about right. And yeah, I would be, fully on board for that too. We had that kind of crappy Jango Fett game, but that doesn't really count.
I don't even remember that.
Bounty Hunter?
I think I
It was
blocked
called?
it out.
It was called Bounty Hunter. It was for the original Xbox. And
Who made
PS2.
it?
Oh man, Max is
LucasArts,
playing
I
that.
think. I think it was just-
I saw Max playing that 2
Yeah,
months
because
ago.
it was one of the games that got re-released on PSN. You could just
looks
download it
terrible.
now. Real bad. Yeah, and then we had obviously the canceled 1313 that
Yes.
LucasArts was working
The
on.
third-person
which-
game?
The third-person game, yeah. And so you're never sure if some of that became, any of those assets became something that Amy's team at Visceral is using, or maybe. that's
how
going
does a
over here.
lightsaber work in first person?
Not well.
Yeah.
That's
I don't think it looks
even the Jedi Knight games, because Dark Forces, the original Dark Forces was a first-person shooter. You weren't a Jedi. You never got a lightsaber. But then Dark Forces 2, which was Jedi Knight,
Yeah.
the first, I don't know, maybe hour of the game, you were Kyle Katarn. It was guns. It was a first-person shooter. Then you became a Jedi.
Yeah.
And you could switch the camera actually between first and third.
Yeah.
And
So
I think
guess
it would.
you have to.
Yeah. So and
Then by Jedi Outcast, you had all the powers.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's, a Boba Fett game would be cool, and I'm sure Respawn will come up with something great. But man, I would love a Jedi Knight reboot. But I know that technically all doesn't exist now, right?
Yeah,
Because they
it all got
reset the
wiped.
canon.
Yeah, it was a
like
tabula
Kyle
rasa.
Katarn's not a guy. He's dead.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think about what Respawn can bring to a property like that, even in terms of just the movement, right? Because like
That's
look
one
what
of the
they-
best parts about Titanfall.
Yeah, look at what
Yeah.
they did with Titanfall. It's like people looked at it initially and they were like, it just looks like futuristic Call of Duty, but it really isn't
Wrong.
when you played it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Feels
it's
better.
way more. It's because
Yeah.
of the movement, it's faster and more vertical, which
Yeah.
is super cool. Like if they were able to do something that on the surface is probably pretty, like it looks pretty simple, but definitely isn't in a game like that, and make it work so well. Like who knows what they could do with like a third-person God of War-esque type
and
game.
probably my biggest knock against Titanfall was that I found the world itself sort of bland.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Oh,
like,
totally.
or just not up to par with the fact that the mechanics and like how the game felt was so good.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
totally
we've talked a little bit about how Titanfall kind of suffered because you really had no context for what you were doing or who you were or why you were, like where
Yeah, the
these robots
campaign
came
was half baked for sure.
from. Right.
Yeah. There was just like a small video and someone talking in the top right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you were
Screen.
battling
as
in
you
a
were deploying.
multiplayer
Yeah,
game.
it was ridiculous, but
Maybe the two games are actually going to be the same game. Stand by for Sarlacc Fall. And then just crushes everybody.
Entire pit falls.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Yeah,
Yeah, just a big
And it's
pit.
also a Pitfall reboot.
a
We're onto something. Hey. Very
Hey,
fancy.
active.
Did it.
Hey.
As long as they finally have,
Thursday, Friday, happy days. Sorry.
as long as they finally have Titanfall DLC that is Optimus Prime, I will be happy.
We
made
invented that.
I thought we already
Yeah.
did
Stand
that.
by for Prime.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
So yeah, how many Star Wars games do we have in development right now?
So 6 studios are currently working on the
6
games.
studios.
Of those, we don't know if because Motive, Jade Raymond's company, and Visceral are currently working on Amy Hennig's game
Right.
together, and then the listing listed those two. It listed Dice.
Then we've got Lego as well, but that's
Yeah, we have
technically a
Lego. That's not, I
different
guess,
thing.
internally.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Motive Jade Raymond's company? I did not know that.
yeah.
Well,
for Dice, does that? Because I read that in the press release too. It's
Yeah.
like Dice, was working on a Star Wars project. Did they just like pseudo accidentally kind of confirm Battlefront 2, which we'd have all assumed anyway?
yeah. So I think legally in legalese that meant they're still working on the DLC. And
Oh, I guess
the one
that's
at the end of
true.
the year that we think might be Rogue One because it's been
Right.
announced.
That's
But I
true.
mean, there's Battlefront sold extremely well. There's no way Dice is not working on Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
That's
fact,
how video
I
games
think
work.
Mitch has to come back and give me an In-N-Out lunch, right, when Battlefront 2 gets announced.
Was
Was
I
that the
believe
way
we-
that bet worked?
I think because he was convinced it would just evolve as a platform.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said, there's no way there's not a Battlefront 2.
And he fled the country
And he
in order
left.
to
He
get
bailed.
away
Probably like-
from paying
Left.
his debt. Yeah.
I'm realizing that those bets now as games, as platforms or services, that is nonsense.
Yeah. There's
I made the same
there's
bet.
power in the number 2 and 3.
Yep. I made
Marketing
the same bet for
is
Destiny.
strong.
Well,
I'm
Destiny
going
made
to
that same
lose.
bet for themselves as well. To be fair, they were like, "This is going to be a 10-year game,"
Yeah.
so you were.
I haven't lost yet, Ryan.
Well, you
but
will.
I think I'm
Yeah,
going
Destiny
to.
2 is probably going to announce like
Yeah.
a month.
Well, I think it's Vince that'll owe me because I made the same bet with Vince on the air.
Oh, that there won't be a 2.
He
in
thinks
the
there
title?
won't be. I think 100% there will be Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
I'm going to be full of In-N-Out Burger, and it's going to taste so
I
good.
really hope he ends up winning on a technicality. Like it's not the number 2.
It's just like Destiny, the
The
second
sequel,
generation.
yeah, or something like
This
that.
generation.
Okay. What is next here? Oh, rumors from last week turning into real things.
Call of Duty Infinite Dogfare.
It's real, you guys.
Collar duty?
Call of Duty Infinite Dogfare. Sorry, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was officially announced.
Got a trailer,
They
too.
Had a live stream and a pretty long trailer, and I thought it all looked very boring. But on the same note, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which is Call of Duty 4, is included with the $80 editions, which is kind of an interesting thing. Is that we have the game itself is I think 60, and then the game
Yeah.
plus COD 4 Remastered is 80, and you can't get COD 4 Remastered
Right.
separately, so you have to buy. It basically means if you want to play COD 4 Remastered when it comes out, you have to pay $80. It's an $80 game.
You could look at it that way I guess if that's really all you care about.
Yeah.
No, but I mean that's a valid argument though.
It
Like, It's
is.
the only way to get it. So if it's what you want, you have to get the other stuff too. Which
I am
is,
sure they will release it separately, but we
Later.
were talking
Yeah.
about this yesterday. We think the thing is that they don't want to compete with
themselves.
Infinite Warfare. Yeah, they don't want to
Yeah.
compete
Yeah,
with
I
their own
mean,
game.
they do theoretically. I can't imagine the Call of Duty 4 remaster would actually outsell
No.
a new
but
game,
it might hurt.
right, it risks embarrassment if it's even close,
Yeah.
right? They risk embarrassing the new game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Your argument about if you want Modern Warfare, then it is in theory an $80 game. To me, that's the same argument, and I don't really put too much weight to it as, well, if I just play Call of Duty multiplayer, I still have to pay $60, so I have to pay more because it comes with the single player campaign
Right.
that I don't want. So I don't know. To me, it's just like, well, this is the way it's sold, so you sort
But
of have to
Yeah.
deal
The
with it.
single player and the multiplayer are the same game, though. Like, it's the same. They're both just Call of Duty, whatever the iteration of that game is. Like, this is a whole different game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm perfectly like I can't imagine a ton of people who would want to play Modern Warfare remastered and not want to play what the new Call of Duty is.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And
mean,
Everyone in
would.
everyone in my Destiny Fire team, that's all they talk about. They're like, I don't really care about Call of Duty, but I would play the shit out of a Call of Duty. Oops.
Yeah.
Play
there's our one.
so
It's
much-
always you.
Sorry.
He was quoting the children he
Yeah,
played.
that's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
That's true. It's a direct. You're just that's
13-year-old.
journalism.
They love that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, the first one specifically.
I'm
and
more
they would play
interested in
that.
playing Call of Duty 4 than I am in playing Infinite
I
Warfare.
think you guys are crazy.
Big Call of Duty
So-
fan over
I
here?
just have
Well,
no
let's talk
interest in
about-
Call of Duty anymore.
Why do I keep getting called out on that? I've played every campaign.
Well, let's talk about that though. The trailer. Well, that's the only hint of this campaign that we have so far. We do know it'll have a zombies multiplayer mode, which is cool. That's always been a Treyarch thing. So it's
and Sledgehammer did it with Advanced Warfare.
yeah. It seems like it's now spread to it's become a Call of Duty thing,
Yeah.
not just a
Which is smart.
team by team thing. But yeah, what did you guys think of the announced trailer?
It was very boring.
I thought it was
Way too long.
2 minutes too long.
Yeah, so you mentioned at the intro that this is a long trailer. It's almost 4 minutes long. It's 3 minutes and 40 seconds, which is absurdly long for a trailer, even by movie standards. We don't get trailers that are that long.
I mean, part of that is because of. Does that 4 minutes
Yeah.
include the remaster?
The last 30 seconds or so is like, oh, and by the way, Call of Duty 4 remastered.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first 45 seconds to minute and a half of the trailer, it looks like the last couple Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
It
Set
looks a
on
lot like
Earth.
Halo as well, actually.
Yeah,
Thank you. So
Yeah.
I said the same thing. I watched the trailer once, and I couldn't believe how much just not
Environments.
how environments, and not just environments, but also just like the action of the shot reminded me of stuff that happened in Halo.
Yeah, and the ships and.
Yeah, like when you take off into space, like that's what happens in Halo 4 for the first
Yeah.
time, and you're like, whoa! And I had that same thought. I was
Reach.
like, that looks like.
Reach.
yeah.
Oh, was it Reach that
Yeah.
you go taking off?
That was the
into-
first time you go
That was
like,
Reach.
out of
Yeah,
atmosphere.
there you go, Reach.
Better me to correct you than all of our listeners.
No, for sure. Especially because like I'm such a Halo guy
Yeah.
that like I should know
Anyway,
that.
continue.
But really they all blur together for me. But I came out of that trailer thinking like, man, I should make a video where I compare the shots to Halo shots that I know exist.
Too late. Someone on the internet just stole your idea and did it.
Yeah, well,
You have until the end of the day.
yeah. But then, I mean, it's just kind of like the first minute and a half of it really just seemed like not all that new or interesting to me. It wasn't until the very end that it got pretty cool.
I think when
Where
it
it
got
was
to
in
space.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
I couldn't agree more. We'd heard about they've got some ex Naughty Dog guys. They're gonna the rumor was they're gonna be focusing more on story. There were the whole space rumor was out there, which turned out to be true. And I agree. The first whatever of that up until it gets into the ship and leaves orbit, I was like, this is exactly the same Call of Duty that I've seen for the last 6 years or more at this
I
point.
just don't know why it was so long.
But then when it goes into space, it wasn't just the space. Then there were a lot of cool shots that said to me, okay, maybe there are some really neat new ideas in here. Should have led with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
Should've
there were
led
parts
with
of it
that.
That even looked kind of Dead Spacey.
Yeah, totally.
Which would be
Yeah, like the
awesome.
zero-G stuff and everything.
Yeah.
That was the stuff that really struck me as the most interesting part. Is like Call of Duty has been really good about this in its single player campaigns, but like they really push the envelope as far as like cinematic set pieces that happen in first person. And when you're swinging around like from the outside of the ship,
Yeah, that looked awesome.
like you're on the outside of the ship, and then your buddy's like over here, and you like leap towards him, and he swings you onto the inside, and you land on the ground. I'm like, that looks so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish that was just more of the game than I know what it is, which is basically like a level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be one level.
Also, when you get to the space part, mute it because an offensively bad David Bowie Space Oddity cover comes on. And you don't don't listen to that.
By the way, that is, I know it's been done before. I mean, the original Gears of War Mad World trailer was certainly famous for this, but 2016 in particular
Yeah.
seems to be the year of put a weird, obscure cover of a legendary
good
song
one. I
in
thought
your
the Mad World
video
one
game
was
trailer.
good.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mad
but
World
the-
one.
the
No, but I'm
Mad
talking
World-
about. So this year we got this with the Infinite War trailer with the Bowie cover.
Awful.
You have Stand By Me in the Final Fantasy 15 trailer. The
Very strange.
trailer
Yeah,
cover
just
there.
odd.
You have the Quantum Break launch trailer was that weird Nirvana cover.
Very weird.
And then Gears of War 4 was Disturbed. doing Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of
Yeah.
Silence.
Yo, but that cover by itself is really good. Have you seen the performance of it on YouTube?
Which one?
The Sound of Silence one?
Well, yeah, I mean, because Disturbed is an actually talented band that
Yeah.
We don't even know who the band are who made this space.
we have no
cover.
idea. Yeah.
The difference between the Mad
Shazam
World
that
one and these
thing.
other ones is like it fit that trailer tonally so well, and with these
Yeah.
other ones, they're kind of at odds with it.
But I mean, on that note, we've now spent a minute complaining about music.
But
We're relaunching IGN Music.
did anyone else get the sense when the Bowie thing came on that they totally added that after his death?
Oh,
Where
they
where
did.
were
That's
like,
Surprised that
gross.
wasn't.
where they were
Prince
like,
in there.
they weren't actually planning to use that, and then they went, oh,
Space Oddity. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just reaching on that one.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, if it was like a Prince, if it was like Purple Rain, then I'd be like, all right, something's afoot right here. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. What else? So that's Infinite Warfare. It is a real thing. It is out November 4th.
Infinite Dogfare is not a thing, and that's disappointing.
That is disappointing.
You don't know that. What if when he spins around, you see the dog with
it's
his little
gonna fix the
space
Wii
helmet
U.
on, and he's
Oh,
like,
was the doggy paddling
Yeah.
in space? Oh.
Infinite
Really?
Dogfare is back. Call of Duty.
Back our Kickstarter.
Yeah. Bar Car Kickstarter.
Love you so much.
That was really good.
Next thing, Microsoft, which of course I forgot to write down the details because I'm a moron and I was busy while writing this down. I'll get the details here so I can remember them. But they announced a new ID at Xbox initiative, which on the surface looks a lot like Summer of Arcade, but it's totally not. But nevertheless, it's ID at Xbox Game Fest. Or, talk amongst yourselves.
Well,
While I look this up.
I don't know what it
I mean,
is.
you mentioned Summer of Arcade, and that got me really excited because in the good old days, we used to get games like Braid and Limbo and Shadow Complex and Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet and Bastion
The
and
return
Meat
of-
Boy.
the
I
return
appreciate
of
you vamping right now.
Yeah, no
the
problem.
return of Summer of Arcade was one of my 2016 predictions for Xbox.
Why
so-
hasn't it happened yet?
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what that is.
Do you remember the Summer of Arcade?
No.
So in the 360,
Oh, yeah, so
in the
ba-
360 era, almost every summer they would have I think it was a month long.
It was
It'd be-
July.
Yeah, throughout July, every week they'd release an incredible XBLA game, and those were the weeks throughout its multiple
don't remember
years
that.
where Bastion, Braid,
They cherry pick
Limbo,
the best stuff.
Shadow
Those
Complex.
are all very good games.
Like, it was like cream of the crop. Like generally every year, 3 of the 4 games were incredible, and even the last one was like a 7.
It took
Right.
like that whole month to like highlight and promote these games. Like it took a whole blade of the Xbox. Like the whole thing was just like, these are the games that you can play on
Yeah.
Summer of Arcade, and they were like cheap.
And they were legitimately some of the best
Yeah,
games
some of them
that
were
generation.
really, really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
All right, so I've finally got the details. I'm sorry for being a bad host. I have it in front of me now. So
I think you're a
here's-
great host.
Thank you. My problem with this is that it just feels like a half step. It almost just like, come on. We're to the point where it's like, I hope this is just the first step in a larger multi-step plan that I can't see yet, that maybe will culminate with Summer of Arcade coming back as an E3 announcement. But here's what this actually is, because you think of it, oh, it's a month of indie games, so you think, oh, okay, it's Summer of Arcade-ish. They're gonna prop up some of the best new games coming out. Not quite. So the first week, which is this week, it is Beyond Eyes, which is old, which also
Yeah.
is terrible, by the way.
Is that the one about the blind
girl?
That
Yeah.
game's bad?
Oh yeah, I reviewed.
I've only played it at events.
Beautiful concept.
Yeah.
Just amazing concept, but there is so little gameplay in it by even
it
walking
is a
simulator
walking-
standards. It's not
That's really
good.
sad.
And there's no real. The game actually doesn't say anything. That was
Yeah.
you get
Oh,
to the
really?
end and it just has nothing to say.
So it's literally just about being blind.
Pretty much. Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time,
Which is old.
The Park, which is actually
That's
at
a
least
cool
a new
title.
thing. But
Yeah, I gave it a 7. It's spooky.
Didn't that come out on PC a while ago?
Yeah,
It's
just came out on
been-
console this
okay.
week.
I believe the term is
Spoopy.
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 With a P.
The spoops.
Spoopy. That's
What?
what the kids are saying. Instead of spooky, it's spoopy.
Called
Why?
Spoopy.
It's what the kids do.
You got the
Why?
spoops.
It's
Not
just
sure.
the kids.
Don't question,
the kids.
should I just move on?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Next week is highlighting some, again, games that are already out that are free to play: Smite, Warframe, Roblox. Okay. These are things that are already there. I mean, I appreciate that you're trying to lift them up. Then, May 17th to the 23rd, what's next? It's, hey, here's some games that are in preview, the game basically highlighting the Xbox preview program. The Long Dark, Layers of Fear, which is already out, and the Solus Project. Then, the end of the month, the final week of May, is the Best of ID at Xbox, Rocket League, Rogue Legacy, The Escapist Banner Saga. This is all stuff that's out.
I played Rogue Legacy like
So
3
what's
years
the
ago.
point?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
It seems like a weird. It's like when we re-promote things at IGN, where it's like, hey, remember this feature from a year ago that was really good? Let's run it down the blog roll again.
Right.
I
And
guess
it's like
it
that's
could be like
totally
that.
fine, but that's
I
not a
did that
thing
last
you
week.
should hide. Like, that's just a thing.
We
That's
would
not a
never.
pillar.
We would
Yeah.
never
That would be,
take.
that would be like if we were like announcing IGN re-promo day,
Yeah.
where all you get is old
it
content.
would be like IGN first for a month being the best of IGN first from the last 2 years. Like
that is a better
here's
example,
our
yeah.
Here's our Evolve coverage, but that game's already out.
here's our preview of it.
all of this stuff you didn't know,
Yeah.
but
we
you
revealed.
do know.
Here's one of the new hunters revealed for Evolve. We already knew that.
Yeah.
That's been out.
I mean,
So-
this thing has a title. It's called Game Fest. Isn't it really just advertising things that already exist and have existed for a long
Yeah,
time?
and there is. I do see a little
is
bit
very
of value.
strange.
I think there is a little bit of value in bringing some, like channeling some attention at these things that they think deserve attention, but it's all stuff that's been out.
Yeah, and this is a festival in the same way like a local carnival that a dude gets high and pulls the lever on the carousel and the kid loses his leg. This is that kind of festival.
yeah.
Did you guys go to that festival?
Yeah, I went there.
I went. Yeah, they had
Were
those in
you the
Australia.
kid or the high guy?
I had a Tyler Durden thing, and I was both. Spoilers for the 1996 Chuck Palahniuk book Fight Club.
Which is
Yeah, sorry.
100% read and
Yeah.
or watch the film.
Real good.
Anyway, so yeah, I hope that this is I don't know, some sort of testing ground for something else, but
This just would have made more sense if they just did it and then didn't make an announcement about it. They're like, this is an advertising thing that we're doing, and they didn't just call it Game
Or
Fest.
if it just ended with like Below or Inside coming out, like we've wanted for the last 3
Yeah.
years. If literally it ended with one of those coming out, it's like, all right, that nothing
No, it's
before
good,
that
it's
matters.
good.
Just
See, like that's
really
what I'm
suck
trying
it.
to figure out is like what the strategy is for doing this, because the problem with scrutinizing decisions like these from the outside is like we have really no idea why or what the
Right.
strategy is, but clearly you can't assume that they just made it up for no reason. Like Microsoft
course
is a
not.
collection of super
But-
smart people, way smarter than any of us, so it's like
Correct.
they clearly had a reason
but
for
it's
doing it.
fair for when they don't give us that reason.
Oh, yeah, no,
it's fair
totally.
for
To
us
speculate.
to
That's
look
what's
at it
happening, yeah.
and go,
Huh?
what?
Right. And so that's what I'm trying to say is like, what could it have been? Like when we try and think about, like, I try and contextualize it in terms of what we do, right? Like, this kind of seems like, so one of our big problems is that we don't have enough places to promote stuff, right?
Yeah.
We have all this content that we think is great, but not enough ways to tell people how to find it. Maybe that's what this is, right? Like, they look at these games and they say, these are games that people should be playing. But if we advertise them outside of this festival-like thing, we're cutting into potential marketing budget for other games like Quantum Break.
Yeah,
or their
they only
bigger
have so much
AAAs.
dashboard space.
Right, you
and-
have to imagine that they have also limited promotional means. So maybe that's what this is. It's just like a way to try and create a new way of promoting things. Like similar to a few years ago, remember when we did Judgment Day for like,
End of
these
the
are
year.
our candidates for Game of the Year?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like,
Sorry,
We
that was
crea-
playing the entire time.
we created this live stream out of nothing, had the devs come on.
No
and
one
like
watched
stuff.
it.
It was so cool.
It was
was
really
so
good.
cool,
It was
yeah.
really good.
And like all the devs were really stoked on it because they
Yeah.
all came at the same time. It was
Yeah.
like this big day of like live streaming and stuff. And I think like the 10 people who watched it,
That was
all
where I
thought
met
it was
Sean
awesome.
Vanneman. Like
Yeah,
in
I mean,
person.
And it was also like an awesome mix of games. Like
Yeah,
we
it
had,
was.
The Walking Dead and FTL and Guild Wars.
that was a
Ooh, that's a good
particularly
year.
really
Yeah.
good year to do it
Damn.
because like we had, the FTL dudes who are two dudes competing for Game of the Year against the guys who made Mass Effect 3
Yeah.
and Halo 4.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what a cool year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it look. That's at least from speculating from the outside. That's what it looks like
If
to me.
I-
Is
if I
like
would've
Microsoft
guessed-
trying to figure out how to create a way to promote indie games in a way that it doesn't like take away from their other promotional
yeah.
strategies.
I would guess that this is a way for them to promote ID at Xbox specifically as a half step towards something else. So I would guess this is look at all of these great games that were well received that you might not have played. People who don't play any games, let's push them to those people so they become familiar with ID at Xbox branding.
Yeah.
So that when we release something else as part of ID at Xbox, they maybe know what it is based on these games.
and this
point.
is 30 days lead, and then 2 weeks later is E3, and maybe they have a press conference. They're like, hey, maybe that thing, that thing that was on your dashboard for the last month that you were kind of confused about. Well, we're relaunching it, or going all in on it.
Yeah, I would think it's a marketing strategy for ID at Xbox.
God, I hope we're right.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I hope we're right.
It's tough because
Hope for
indie
the
games are in
hostile.
an interesting space right now. Like, we call them indie games, we think of them like indie games, but I think a lot of people would be surprised to say, like, a lot of indie games
It's funny,
are
there are
made
totally
by-
different tiers of indie at
yeah,
this point.
like there are a
Like,
lot
also
of indie
different
games
tiers
that
of
are
AAA.
AAA.
Well, like The
status,
Witness is
you know?
is an indie game.
Sure.
No Man's
But
Sky is technically an
An
indie
indie
game.
game, but they have so much funding. You're
Yeah.
like, at what point does it become AAA indie?
That's exactly the thing.
It's
Is
triple
like,
lowercase a. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if Summer of Arcade, as much as I love Summer of Arcade, like I don't. I think Microsoft's hesitance about it is like, I don't know that Summer of Arcade works for what indie games are now. You know, because indie games are just games.
But to be fair, back when arcade actually existed on 360, there were tiers of it then, because there would be like Capcom would make digital games like Bionic Commando, Rearmed. So there were
Mega Man 9 and 10.
there were big
What
publishers
year
and
did
little
Bastion come
indies
out?
alike making live arcade games.
2011.
So that's nothing new.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's like, if you were just to take what Summer of Arcade would be now, let's say, okay, Cuphead is the
Inside-
type of game
Cuphead,
that you might
Inside,
see.
Below.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
those are the type of games you might see as part of Summer of Arcade if
Right.
it existed now. But those games are so awesome and so good that they deserve every bit of attention and promotional sort of effort that the games like Quantum Break do. So I just wonder if Microsoft looks at that and is like, there's no reason to do a Summer of Arcade.
Well, I would respectfully disagree with that, because as much as Cuphead has captivated everybody, if it comes out as a digital release on Windows 10 and Xbox in October, is it really gonna get the attention that it deserves?
I mean, I'll still play it.
Well, of course, but I'm talking in the
Just
general
me.
sense. You know, whereas if you Voltron those games into July,
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say that if that comes out in
when
July,
there's, I mean, anybody on any platform is gonna take notice of that.
Yeah.
And not saying people are gonna buy Xbox Ones for it, but everyone's gonna notice, like, holy crap! Wow, look what Microsoft is doing. There's nothing else out, and they're dropping Cuphead, Below, and
Yeah.
Inside
Yeah.
all this month. That's amazing. I've got to play these games, and there's nothing else out there to distract you.
I mean, there's a reason that like the first couple months of this year saw Oxenfree and The Witness and Firewatch, and it's because you don't release those games in the last 3 months of a year.
yeah, because
Yeah.
they just crash.
Yeah, 100%.
exactly.
And I'm like, I don't remember Summer of Arcade, but I'm trying to figure out how I played Bastion, like how because that was
Limbo and Braid
and Limbo and Braid. So I
Meat
think
Boy
those
and-
maybe
yeah,
I
Super
found those
Meat Boy
because
and
they
the
were
Explosion
advertised,
Man.
and
Yeah.
I just didn't pay
And
attention to
they
it.
were just
like I played
really
Meat
good-
Boy and Explosion Man as well. So it's like I played all of
Yeah.
those. That was before I was working in the industry. Like, how did I know about them?
Was weird question? Was Summer of Arcade global? Like literally, would that have been in Australia?
I
Like maybe that's why
Maybe
I
not.
didn't know it. I don't know.
that's kind
I
of that's a
assumed-
valid
I'm gonna
Also,
Google
it's
it.
not
I mean,
like
I assumed it was just because, like, at that point we were a single content team with Australia and the UK, so I imagine we would have been like,
Yeah,
writing
I
one
don't know.
review.
well, it's also like you couldn't have just gotten these games during Summer of Arcade. You know, like I didn't play.
Oh, you could have got them a year or two later.
Yeah, like I didn't
Yeah.
play Limbo, or I didn't play Bastion until well after Summer of
Oh,
Arcade.
it was called
so.
Winter of Arcade.
Of course,
of course it was.
because
it
the
was.
hemispheres.
I was literally going to make that joke, and I was like, "Ah, it's a dumb joke."
Of course it
That's
was.
so
Though.
I said
funny.
I was going to go the entire episode without making an Australia.
So that's why you don't remember it.
I feel like the dumbest American
That's-
right now.
Yeah, no, okay.
feel
Well, I feel
so
dumb
dumb.
as well. It's like obviously it wouldn't have happened because it's a different time of year.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. I love that.
Yep. Because when you say Summer of Arcade, I was also thinking
So,
over the holiday period. I'm
when-
like, oh, so like December, right?
Yeah,
Like-
I was gonna say, like, so when we say
It's a perfect time to release these
when we
games.
say,
and you're like, no,
well,
it's
yeah, when we say summer is like a dead time, she's looking at us like, "Are you guys high?" Like, no, that's when everything comes out.
at summer. Oh, there
That's
we go.
so weird.
Yep.
Oh, Earth.
Australia.
Geography, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Next up, sticking to Microsoft here, they detailed some of their E3 logistics. Not the actual games being shown, but if you're curious, if you want to go to E3, because more and more of it is public now.
Rip.
Don't start with me.
We're not doing that
Don't-
again.
Don't start. You notice I sat quietly when I let you have your fun. So via a blog on Major Nelson's site, Microsoft is going to showcase, quote, unannounced titles coming in 2016 and beyond. Now, don't.
I didn't do anything. You
We just
stopped
looked
it.
at each other. It's fine.
Do you guys need a moment?
No, it was just no. We're fine. We're fine.
Sorry.
I even totally missed that. I was
Thank
looking
you.
down
He
here.
said beyond.
We know. All right. All right, Microsoft. So they literally haven't shown some of those big games that were so great as announcements at last year's E3 have not been seen or heard from since then. I'm talking about Sea of Thieves, Recore, Halo Wars 2, probably a few more. We've seen a little bit of Crackdown 3 that made an appearance at Gamescom. Destin played it, as he would remind us if he were here.
Oh, I never heard that before.
And then, of course, with Gears 4, there was the Game Informer cover and the just completed multiplayer beta. But, so I would expect their conference to really be dominated by those things that were announced last year, and we haven't been seen from since. But unannounced titles coming in 2016 and beyond.
Yeah.
Unannounced titles.
Yeah, unannounced. So
That's the really
what have
interesting
they
part
got?
to
I mean,
me.
their calendar is
I mean,
hypothetically.
that sounds like idea to Xbox as well.
It could very well be because they've already got theoretically such a packed lineup for this year.
Yeah.
And we've gone through it a few times. We're heading into no release date in sight for Cuphead, except Chad Moldenhauer, the art director at PAX East, did tell me when we were playing it, 2016, can't get any more specific than that. So, but that's announced. That's
what
not
if that's
unannounced.
an E3 thing?
Does this?
One of those things where they're like, it's available now.
That would be
we've gotten
amazing.
those. Yeah.
That would be great.
But
And then I would be really sad that I was nowhere near an Xbox.
The
Yeah.
chances of that are so tiny for that game.
I don't know. Like
never know.
2 years ago, we had multiple games do that. There was the
The
Dead Rising,
Dead Rising
Ultra
Street
Edition.
Fighter
Yeah.
thing.
There was a PSN artsy game, but also this does not specify that these are necessarily first-party games. That's
That's very
could
true.
be
That is
That's
true.
very true.
Whatever we keep thinking that there are going to be a handful of Fallout-esque announcements where it's like, here's the reveal and it's out
Good
in
point.
fall, and so it could be a third-party thing. You know,
Yep.
it could be
That's
a
true.
Ubisoft thing, an Activision thing.
So your Watch Dogs 2 theory.
Totally, yeah. Although why that wouldn't be on the
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft stage, but maybe it's on
Sometimes it's on
multiple stages.
both.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
generally
Every year.
the big Ubisoft games are split between Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
still,
totally
like, yeah,
see that.
the only first-party example that concretely comes to mind, because they've already pseudo-confirmed this, is Forza Horizon 3, or what I assume, we know what assuming does, to be Forza Horizon 3,
Yeah.
because it's Playground's turn, and
I really
they
want
did.
that game.
They did specifically say the next Forza game will be announced at E3.
Yeah, and we assume it's Horizon.
we
not a
assume it's
third
Horizon
pillar.
3, right, and not something else.
I would
but-
imagine it's Horizon.
So probably Forza Horizon 3, but I just don't know what else they could possibly whip out that would be 2016 when they've got Sea of Thieves and
I mean, if
all
there's-
these things that I already
Yeah,
said.
that's why I would guess
Recore,
ID
Halo
at
Wars 2.
Xbox.
I mean, if we get something like a Crackdown 1 remaster, something like that.
I don't see that happening for Crackdown.
Does EA have a conference this year?
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah, they
do.
They have it on
do.
Sunday.
Which one of the? Who was it who backed out then? There was one that
None of the conferences.
Oh,
have
EA
that.
just
Bethesda
moved. They,
isn't doing
well,
it,
No,
right?
Bethesda's
no,
doing
they
it.
are.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
EA just moved back a day
So it's Sunday
sort
now?
of create a hole
Yeah.
in the schedule.
Square
Okay.
Enix is the only one that we're still iffy on whether
I
they're having
guess
another one.
Nintendo?
Well, they
Nintendo's
haven't
going to
had.
have a direct or a conference.
Yeah, they haven't had like a
announced that
conference
though,
in a
have
while.
they?
No.
They're doing a direct? They will though because
Yeah.
Zelda. Yeah.
So we'll see. Every year, I really think Microsoft's done a great job the last 2 years in particular on their E3 press conferences.
Last year was great.
Last year was great. Just cutting out the entertainment stuff, any app
Yeah.
stuff, any Connect stuff, and it's just like, boom, here's 90 minutes of
I mean,
games.
even what we saw of HoloLens was very brief.
Yes,
Like they were
very
like,
true.
And it
Here
was
is,
still
done.
games oriented.
Games.
Yeah, and it was cool
true.
looking,
Still
yeah.
Minecraft. So.
Dude, I mean, I saw that in real life, that demo, and it blew my mind. I was
Which
like,
one? The Minecraft one?
Yeah.
See, I
We
did the
have a video
Halo
up
one.
about it, don't we?
well, the Halo one is like the one that was on the floor. I'm talking about the stage demo presentation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where he's like
Well, but-
looking at a table and there's nothing there, but I can see on this like
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was the thing is, everyone who watched that demo like live wasn't seeing what he was seeing on the screen. right? Like, because I was in the room.
In the room, yeah.
Yeah, and I could see that he was looking at a blank table, but on the screen was what he was looking at, and it was this huge mosaic of Minecraft stuff. And I was like looking around, being like, "This is amazing! Like, how is no one freaking out?"
And I told you, I did the Halo thing.
Yeah, and
for
me too.
myself.
Me too.
And
you actually told me like, "Go do that." And I did,
it's so cool. But anyway, the one other relevant note on the note of semi-public E3. If you are going to be in the Los Angeles area, or you're thinking about attending E3, there will be the Xbox Fan Fest once again, and it's going to be every night. Well, actually, I don't know they haven't said what time it is. I was going to say every night, but I actually don't know if it's at night. But it'll be on Monday the 13th, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of E3. So a chance for you to get in, and there'll be probably Xbox executives mingling like there were last year, and probably some games to play.
Have they done that before?
Last year they did it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Was it offsite?
It was offsite.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a press thing. It was totally a fan thing. So
totally.
we weren't there,
Yeah.
and
cool.
it was a lot. I know a lot of people really enjoyed that last year. So good to see Microsoft doing that.
And obviously,
Once
all of
again.
us will be at E3, so
That's true.
say hello.
Please do, absolutely.
I'm going to the Microsoft conference, so that'll be awesome.
I had so many awesome Unlocked and IGN fans come up and say hello to me last year at E3. It was very uplifting. It was very spiritually uplifting because on Twitter, you don't always get the nice people.
Yeah,
So
it seems
when they
like
come up
every
to
time
you,
I start getting exhausted from people on the internet being awful, I go to a convention and it all goes away.
it's
like
very
every time
true.
you go to a convention and you meet people who say nice things.
You
in
meet
person, it's
real
like,
people
and
who are,
refresh.
it's so
Everyone's
great.
actually lovely.
So great.
They just don't use Twitter that much.
Because everybody on the other end of that camera / microphone, like 99.9% of them are amazing. Possibly 100%. Willing to go 100%.
No, there's one of them's
That seems
awful.
statistically
One of them-
unlikely,
Absolutely,
yeah.
one of them's awful.
Yeah.
Well, one
You've
person
encountered them on Twitter.
One
You were
person
just
in the
saying
room is
that.
awful.
Well, but they're not necessarily Unlocked listeners.
That's true.
That's all I'm saying.
No, Unlock's huge in prison. I read that.
Really.
They're paying their
because of
debt
the
to
name?
society.
No, because they're thinking that it will teach them how to escape prison.
Yeah, that's
And
what
then
I
they
was
listen like, oh, darn, it's an Xbox podcast. I
Wow,
guess
this is
the
really
wrong
good.
not too
Unlocked.
bad.
The wrong Unlocked. I'm going to go listen to podcast Uncuffed.
Yeah.
Unchained.
Okay. New Xbox hardware at E3? Question mark.
Am I having deja vu? What's going on?
This
I don't want this.
This is a story we talked about, the EA Star Wars thing breaking, thankfully, mercifully, right before we recorded. This one hit right after we recorded last week. So the Xbox Insider site, the blogger Paul Thurrott, who came to find out strangely, has blocked me on Twitter for reasons I could not possibly imagine.
Doesn't like your shirts.
I guess not.
What a jerk.
It's all good though. It's
He does
fine.
not want to coexist
He does not.
with us. Ryan specifically.
Each their own. Anyway, I got no.
You
beef.
had
I've also
you've
blocked
had
you on
no
Twitter, to be fair.
wait, you've had no engagement with this guy?
I don't ever remember speaking with him in real life or otherwise, or the internet. So anyway, what
I'm trying
matters?
to think of what wildly offensive thing
I
Ryan
know,
could
what
have
could I have-
tweeted that this guy just saw and was like,
you know what?
this guy.
You know what I'll bet it was? I'll bet at like some point somebody probably tweeted me like one of his rumors and tagged him in it, and I probably said, I don't believe that. And I'll bet that's what it was.
Yeah.
And he was like, F you, I'm an insider. I know what I'm talking about. And you know what? He was probably right in the end because my predictions are wrong most of the time. So anyway, I got no beef with Paul Thurrott if he's out there listening.
Beef squashed.
Beef squashed, which is the best kind of beef. It's, a little
Squashed kind.
Delicious.
little side of cream corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are on
Anyway.
food again.
Yeah. Very hungry.
Yeah. Going to lunch
They
right
don't
after
feed
this.
us.
Yeah.
So
It is Bagel Wednesday.
Mr. Thurrott on his site has a new rumor written by one of his staffers, Brad Sam, saying, based on sources inside the company, expect to see new hardware at the event, meaning the E3 press conference. And there will also be a new standard controller that ships with the Xbox One. The new standard controller will look similar to the current design, which isn't too surprising, but will likely come in a new color. This isn't,
Okay.
there's not a lot of detail here, but I guess the rumor winds are blowing, and they're
I mean, we predicted Xbox Slim a million times.
right.
So yeah, that's what you guys have all predicted. I kind of read this as like this is just hot off the heels of the PS4.5
The Neo.
thing. Like, that's kind of what I assumed they were talking about.
Yeah,
Xbox
we've talked
1.5.
about that too with the stuff Phil said at the
showcase,
whatever,
spring
the showcase,
yeah.
a couple months ago. The thing that gets me excited here is if a new controller comes out that has a headphone port in it.
It does.
Oh.
The new ones do.
I was
The
actually
new
gonna
ones
say
do.
this.
You
like,
don't need the adapter
Well, I'm
anymore.
going to steal one of those.
I didn't know this because I was talking again to my
You
Destiny.
got to rock an Elite, my friend. It's the it's literally the best
Too
gamepad
rich for my
I've
blood.
ever used
I
in
know
my
it's so
life.
comfortable.
I was talking to my Destiny Fire team about this, and I was like, because I was having issues with my headset, with my Astro i40s, the mic cable was like dying and broken, so I had to switch to a Turtle Beach one. And I was like, I don't have the right adapter. And they were like, you don't need an adapter. And I was like, looking at the controller, I'm like, yeah, you do. There's no other way to plug it in. And it turns out they've been shipping new controllers with the new consoles that don't have that adapter port anymore.
I'm going to sneak in on the weekend and replace my old one with someone's new one.
Yeah,
You
idea.
totally should. Just
Yeah.
Just
I won't be
make
yours.
sure
There'll be
it's
no one in this
Destin.
room.
Destin.
It'll be Destin. Destin will come back from China, just an enraged monster.
Yeah,
He gets
and
pretty
I
angry
would
about that.
presume that this means a new standard controller, not because I can't imagine they're going to start throwing the Elite in with every single box.
Yeah.
No.
The Elite
Although
is...
that would be awesome.
I mean, no joke. I really think the Elite's the single best game controller ever made.
I don't like all the. You can
Take 'em
feel
off.
so much.
You can take them off.
You
Take
can
'em
still
off.
feel indents. Like I feel like you can feel it all the time, and I don't want to be able to feel it. But the reason that I've always preferred,
Lana doesn't want to feel things. She just wants to be dead inside.
exactly. The reason that I choose, like, if I get a code, I will always choose Xbox over PlayStation, despite liking both consoles, is because
The
I
controller.
prefer the controller,
Yeah.
and
Such
it
a
has
great
been like
controller.
that forever.
You know,
The internet tells me it's because I'm a blind Xbox fanboy,
That too.
but I really like the controller too.
the popular theory in response to this rumor is, oh, I wonder if they'll put, a Kinect microphone in the controller
that'd be
so that you
great.
can do voice commands.
I miss
Because
Kinect.
since Kinect has been left for dead, it has been
Left
it
for
has
Dead.
been dumped in the.
Left 4 Dead 3.
They threw it in a trunk and drove it out to the river and tied concrete cinder blocks to its ankles and threw it in the
I
river.
mean, there hasn't been
Xbox
anything announced for it in a pretty long There hasn't been anything announced for it in a pretty long time.
And there
No,
won't be.
There will not be.
Which is, God, I really like it.
It's a great interface navigation device. That's what it's awesome for.
Yeah.
Still
I
use it
use
all the
it
time.
every
It would if I
time
didn't know.
I'm watching like HBO Go or anytime I'm watching things, which is
yeah.
all the time
Yeah.
on my Xbox, and it's like, oh, I need to let the dog out or take like Xbox pause.
I think
Sorry,
I've
any-
mentioned this
by the
before,
way.
but I left mine with my parents because they had started using my Xbox One as a media player, and they didn't know how to navigate. Like, they didn't know how to use a controller. They didn't know how to navigate that kind of interface.
Yeah.
So they had to use Kinect, and effectively were completely using a Kinect and an Xbox One, like, through Netflix and all of their media stuff, just because they could talk to it. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Totally.
awesome.
So, the controller being whatever it's going to be, I would love it to be a controller with a mic built in. I think that would
That would
be
be awesome.
that would be great. What do you guys think of new hardware? Is it gonna be? I know we touched on this last week, but is it the Slim? Because we talked about last week how if it's just the Slim, would that disappoint people?
Yes.
At this point, after all these Neo rumors.
Yes.
But do you guys think they're going to trot out an upgrade, a legitimate upgrade?
I mean, it's a little
Oh, I
bit.
really hope not.
It's a little
We've
bit more
talked about this.
Again, the
interesting.
Slim had upgrades, though, and then it had Wi-Fi built in.
Yeah, but
No,
this,
I'm talking
about, yeah.
performance upgrades.
Specifically, and not hard drive, because
no.
that's not really performance. Like GPU, CPU. I'm not on board with that. I don't like the idea of upgradable consoles. Like, we talked about this, I don't know, a couple episodes ago. I just don't think that it actually... I think it alienates a big part of your audience when you do that. And plus, like, it sets a dangerous precedent for games in the long run, right? Like, if the difference between performance of a new upgraded Xbox 1.5 and the original Xbox 1.5 is the difference between what Xbox or what The Last of Us on PS3 looks like versus on PS4. That's a big enough, significant enough upgrade to where, as a hardcore gamer, I'm gonna feel coerced to buy another console when I've already spent $500 on the first one.
Let's set that aside for a minute, since we have already kind of got into it, and just, do you think upgraded hardware is coming at E3?
No.
No. Marty?
yes, especially since NX is officially not going to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still on the fence. I really could see it. Phil's been keeping his cards close to the chest
They
on
Yeah.
this
have
one.
to compete with
For
PS4.
clarity, I don't think that a Slim
Yeah.
counts as
I also don't.
neither do I.
new
I'm talking- yeah, okay.
upgraded
No,
hardware.
no.
CPU,
Yeah.
GPU, just
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think they've got to have something. Otherwise, they risk losing all of the mind share that they've worked so hard to get back.
Yeah, from
ever since Phil took over. You know, the on the fly rebuild of this console and this platform that Phil Spencer has done and his team have done such a great job on. If they don't show anything, I think they risk. I don't know. Maybe and again, you said it, Sean. They're smarter than we are.
Yeah,
they see the whole field. And maybe that's not. They don't even care. They have just other plans. But from my point of view, down here as the little ant on the ground, it seems to me that they risk losing those hardcore fans that they've worked so hard to win back if they don't show anything.
I'm totally looking at this from a competition perspective, where I see it as like Microsoft get in a meeting room and they're like, what will people say if the PS4 can do this or run in 4K and we have nothing but a Slim? Like,
well, I hope
just
they're
see
having
that
that.
as, like,
I mean,
that
yeah,
makes them
you would
look
hope
terrible in terms of marketing.
Right.
That's the reason that I think they'll do it.
I'm still on the fence about that whole thought, because like, I don't know, we're not even really at the point yet where 1080p 60 FPS is like a standard. Like, it's
I also
the
don't
standard.
think I know anyone who owns a 4K TV.
I don't.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is like it's really tough because in the industry that we work in, sometimes it can be tough to really get a sense of what like the regular just middle of the country Kansas gamer is thinking, right? Like, I really think like 99% of the gamers out there don't even know or care about 4K.
I agree with that.
That's totally not the point. The point is that if there is one console that has it and another console that doesn't, people are going to jump on it. Even if they don't care about 4K, like, but my PS4 can run in 4K, your Xbox can't.
It's a talking
point.
point.
Fanboy thing, and it's a marketing thing, and it's a thing that people, even if they don't know what the specs even mean, are going to use to attack.
And also
Xbox.
the 1080-60 thing not being across the board is predominantly because both pieces of hardware are underpowered compared to PC.
Yeah.
Like, most games can run that on PC just fine.
Sure.
On a super crazy PC.
And that's kind of my point, is like, I don't know, when PS 4.5 or whatever had that like more solidified rumor coming out and most of the industry was talking about it, a lot of those people who are that hardcore fan base like had a pretty ambivalent response to it. They thought,
more of a negative reaction.
Yeah,
in
like
fact.
again, they're kind of, at least like at a cursory glance from my perspective, seems like a lot of people seem to be on my side. Like, they don't like the idea of upgraded console.
I feel like probably everyone in this room is kind of on your
So
side.
my point is, like, I think Microsoft sits in the boardroom and they say, okay, so PS 4.5 might be a real thing. It might be able to do 4K. And if it does, there will be this small, loyal fan base of people who are like gung-ho about that being like a huge upgrade advantage. But when you look at the big market, most people don't care. And so why don't we just double down on our console having great games that, whether or not they're 4K or 1080p, still look good?
You're saying,
but I mean, I
funny.
think it is.
It's like them walking into a conference and being like, they have this, we have nothing.
But it's not that they don't have nothing.
No,
right?
but that's how people are going to see that, you know?
Well, that's how some, like a very small
think a
people
lot.
will see it.
It's funny, Sean. You're saying almost exactly. I went on Gamertag Radio this week, which is another great Xbox podcast that's been running for years. It airs. I think they told me it goes up on Thursday, so probably by the time you hear this, I was saying about exactly the same thing, where I could see Microsoft taking the strategy of we're gonna put out a Slim that looks new but is the same inside. That's $200. You know, we're gonna drive the price down.
That could work.
And bank on their, I think, killer lineup of
library,
games.
yeah.
Because I still think, and again, I don't want this to be taken as a fanboy war thing. I personally think the Xbox One first party lineup is much more interesting than Sony's current first party lineup. Just taken. So if you just say the things that are exclusive to our console we think are great, you know, whether it's Cuphead or Inside or Sea of Thieves or Gears 4, Halo Wars 2, all this stuff, say we're gonna make it look new by having a Slim. We're gonna make it wait. You know, the other guys, Sony with the Neo is gonna be, their price is going up to $400 with this Neo. We're gonna go the other way.
Exactly.
Put a shiny new coat of paint on it, make it smaller, and say we're gonna just go with being a super affordable games machine with a great lineup.
Yeah,
on
so I
it.
see two options. There's them competing directly, or there's them marketing against it. So there's them being like, we don't want to split our audience.
But
We don't
yeah.
want to do that. Like, I feel like they're going to present it that way.
Also,
They might.
but what if
That's what
Microsoft
PS4
if Microsoft doesn't do this, and at the Sony conference they unveil the Neo, and we get a God of War 4 or Horizon Zero Dawn demo in 4K? As someone who saw a game that I can talk about running in 4K a little while ago, and I know that's really dumb to do on a podcast, it was the best looking thing I've ever seen in my life, and it sold me on the idea of a 4K system.
That's
So
fair.
if the demo, everyone comes out of E3 talking about that one Sony demo
Yeah.
that looks so far above and beyond anything we've seen
Right.
before in gaming. Like, I don't know if a $200 console and a super solid first party lineup is enough.
I mean,
yeah.
maybe it's not, but here's the thing: is like I think like strategically, you kind
The
of
thing you're talking about, to be clear, just so nobody twist this, it wasn't a Neo thing. It was.
Oh, no, it wasn't a Neo thing. It was a tech
PC
demo.
thing.
It was running on a PC.
A
Yes,
PC
yes,
thing.
absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing is like 4K gaming exists. It's out there. It's on PCs mostly right now. But it's not something that's actually new to games right now, right? It would be new to consoles. I think if you're a console maker like Microsoft and Sony, or you have a stake in that market, I think from Microsoft's perspective, you stay the course because you already lost the battle on the tech front, right? From the get-go, your console was on paper less powerful than the PS4. So to try and make that ground up later, 2 years into the console cycle, that seems like an exercise in futility, right? Like I think you stay the course. Like what has made Microsoft successful in the years past, like in the year or two since it
I mean,
launched?
the Xbox 360 was the lineup for sure.
Sure,
Well-
but what I mean is like I'm talking about PS4 and Xbox One. Like right out of the gate, PS4 took a huge lead, but Microsoft's closed that gap. What have we done?
No,
to
they haven't.
No, they haven't really.
No, but I mean like you're right. They turned the ship around, is what I mean. Like
They improved.
yeah, like they stumbled at the get-go, but since Phil Spencer's taken hold, like the messaging has been a lot clearer. Gamers have been a lot more on board.
The services are better.
Services are better,
Everything's
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I say you double down on that, like stay the course, do what you've been doing because it's been working, as opposed to trying to compete on a front that you lost on.
It's interesting you phrase it that way, because that's almost when the roles were reversed last generation, where the PS3 was this had stumbled out of the gate with a high price and all sorts of other dumb things, and Xbox 360 got out to this huge lead. How did PS3? What was their strategy? And look how it worked. And their strategy was they just they focused on having a killer first party lineup of things like from Heavy Rain to
I mean, The Last of Us is
Uncharted to
like
The Last of Us.
one of the
God
best.
of War.
games.
The second half of the last generation for PS3's first party was there weren't necessarily like huge tentpole hits, but it was a bunch of really, really good exclusive games. And I almost wonder if that's where Phil is heading with all these things. Because, like, let's be honest. I mean, Sea of Thieves maybe could take off if it is a really good game. But, Halo Wars 2 is probably not going to light the world on fire sales-wise. Forza Horizon 3, that series always does well. Cuphead, Inside, Recore. These probably aren't going to be like 10 million selling games, but if Phil just decides, you know what, I'm going to just focus on, I'm going to get all my fans back that may have defected by putting out a great lineup.
I mean, I feel like they largely have done that.
They
in the
have.
past
I
year.
totally agree.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of meant by closing the gap. Is
Yeah.
like as an Xbox fan, like I don't feel alienated at all, and
Oh,
I
no.
don't feel like I mean, people are quick to say that we or the press in general has like a slant towards PS4 or towards Xbox, depending on the day. We're accused of being pro whatever console, and that's total nonsense. But I think like in the end, all we really want is a lot of good games, and as an Xbox fan, I feel like I've gotten a lot of that.
Absolutely.
And so like if you're, I don't know, the other thing is you don't have to look at console, like Microsoft doesn't, I mean, you always care about sales, but like Microsoft isn't just the Xbox division. The sales of Xbox, whether they're through the roof and beating PS4 or non-existent like the Wii U, has like this much of an effect on
Wii
Microsoft's
U.
total business, So it's not as if like that's a huge priority for them.
I don't
think
know.
they're
I mean,
more
the
focused on
Xbox
providing good services.
is a pretty significant part of the Microsoft business. Just like, I mean, you look at Sony, the PS4 is the rock star of that business because like their TV division has been
Which
struggling for a
should
while.
tell you something about
They also have
Sony.
like speakers and
Yeah, I mean, so there's a
fridges.
Sony has movie studios.
two sides to the
Yeah.
coin. Yeah, there are two sides to the coin there for both of them, but it's gonna be really interesting to see.
I'm actually kind of excited. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of most recent conferences, I've gone in knowing a lot of things, and I really have no idea what they're going to do this year. And I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think for sure we're gonna see what Sea of Thieves really is.
I'm very excited about that.
Me too. We're gonna see what Recore really. We literally don't even know what Recore
I mean,
is.
but
Robo
even
Dog.
based on what we have seen, like both of those games, I'm already going to play them. Like
Yeah.
just based on the small things
Yeah.
we've seen,
Like
I'm
the
like,
small
yeah, I'm sold.
tone piece
I'm sold.
trailers.
Yep.
from last year.
Everything
I
is
love,
an
like,
open
the
world
tonal
RPG.
We
real
don't know anything
cinematic
about
trailer.
Halo Wars 2 other than we assume it's a strategy game
Yeah.
because it's a sequel to a
Yeah.
Halo
Yep.
strategy
Safe
game.
assumption.
Forza
I
Horizon
mean, do
3.
we even know what genre Recore is yet?
That's what I was trying to
literally
say
nothing,
earlier.
right?
We genuinely
Literally
don't know what
nothing.
it is.
It's a dog robot simulator.
Yeah.
Sold. Again,
Sci-fi.
it was already
So,
sold. No, I'm more sold.
I'm really excited to actually find out what
Yeah.
those games are that I was so fired up about at last year's E3. I think this has the chance to be. I think this has a chance to be a historically great Xbox E3 press conference.
Yeah.
I really truly do.
As long as they announce backwards compatibility.
Again.
They already
Again.
To
How about-
Xbox.
Yeah, original Xbox
Yeah.
backwards compatibility. Wouldn't that be cool if they just
Fusion Frenzy.
if they made the entire
Loss.
because those games are so old and half those publishers are out of business, like the Majescos of the world. I guess they're not out of business, but they're out of the major game space. It'd be cool. Here's my dream. Here's a dream scenario for E3 before we move on. Microsoft says, okay, we heard you. We're doing original Xbox backwards compatibility, but what we're actually doing is our first party original Xbox catalog is just
Ooh.
free.
That'd be real cool.
We're just porting here. Download whatever you want.
That would be
man.
awesome.
Have fun.
See, that's the type of thing
Halo,
where, like,
Fable 1.
as a fan, and maybe I'm a little biased here being an Xbox fan, but that's the type of announcement that, in my mind, far dwarfs, oh, by the way, this new console can do 4K, but it's going to be gimped 4K because we know how powerful these consoles are, and they are not PCs. Like, that's the type of announcement that I love that way more than a 4K announcement, a potential 4K announcement.
Something you can actually use. Is
I
what
get
you're
your
saying.
perspective,
Yeah.
but I think the internet will disagree.
Totally. They always
Oh.
want the next new thing.
I could care less about that. Like, everyone knows that about me. Disagree with me all you want, I don't care. But,
Direct your hate mail to @ShotByFinnegan.
yeah. I mean, people have gotten on my case about upgraded consoles being the future. Even people here, like Mike Oransky.
We did have some people tweet me about our previous discussions on this podcast and be like, I don't know how you got a job in the industry, you idiot. Like, I don't remember what I said.
They just be like, I don't remember how I got a
don't
job doing
I don't
this
remember
either.
what I said at all.
But I'm here.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
This is a longie.
Yeah.
That's what
Well, that's what the kids like. Is that like
They like them long?
really
long E?
Regret. Oh, no.
Stop the train before it goes any further.
I don't want to speak for the kids. I can only speak for myself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Totally.
That's cool.
The Xbox 360, speaking of previous Xbox consoles, Sean Finnegan, has officially ceased production, which means it's officially retired. You could still buy one, obviously, but they're just not
They're
going
not
to
coming hot off
manufacture
the
any new
presses
ones
anymore, yeah.
That is correct. So quickly, I wanted to go around the table. There is a gun at your head, loaded. The trigger's about to get pulled.
with bullets.
Name your favorite. Pick one. Your favorite Xbox 360 game. Doesn't have to be first party.
Oh my god, this is so hard.
Anything.
I
feel like all of our
your
faces just
family
went,
is going to die.
Does it really have to be one?
It is going to be like the end of Dark
That's
Knight.
so
with-
Jesus
Christ,
with
I
Two-Face.
understand.
No, you should have just made him
Where-
answer it because now I'm like, wait, what about this game? I had one and now there's like 10. I'm like,
Okay.
Harvey Dent has a gun pointed at your son's head.
Oh, but that's Prince Joffrey. Kill that kid. He's awful.
Can it be three?
No, that wasn't him. That was.
Oh, Joffrey was in Batman Begins.
He was in Batman Begins.
Yeah,
He was
can
the
we
kid.
do
Can we make it
threes?
just
Wait,
three and not one?
Bonnie,
Anything
go.
but one.
No, one.
Okay.
I will shoot you in the head.
Okay,
One game.
The real answer, but it's the fake answer, is Banjo-Kazooie HD. The real answer is Catherine.
Wow.
Okay. All
Interesting.
right. Shark, go. I will kill your family
Such
right
a hard
now.
choice for me.
I like the idea that right outside someone's trying to edit a video and it's like, who's going to kill their family?
It has to be.
They're dialing the police right now. This podcast isn't going well.
It has to be
threatening.
BioShock.
BioShock, strong call.
But
Nope.
No!
there are two other games
Your family
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie.
that I would also
Your
potentially
family
choose.
dies. Your family lives. You got.
Hey, he did it. Are you gonna shoot him or what?
Deadly Premonition.
Whoa, that's even
Wow.
crazier.
That's.
Also, sorry, Mum and Dad, but also Fallout 3 and Batman Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, see?
Sorry about it.
Mass Effect 1,
Fallout 3
Halo
goes to
3.
Mom, Arkham Asylum, the bullet goes
For
to Dad.
every game above one game that you say one family member gets killed.
That's fine.
You've
Chelsea's
just
fine.
I still
murdered
have
your
my
parents.
dog and my sister, so that's okay. Yeah.
I
can
love
make
your
do.
parents got killed before the dog got killed.
You're not going to kill a dog.
Obviously.
You're going to kill parents before you
Yeah,
kill a
let's be
dog,
real.
right?
Yeah.
Mass Effect 1, I
Mass Effect
realized
is
was
a
my
great
answer.
game.
It's like just one game. Yes,
What about Portal?
What about Portal?
a little technically rough around the edges, but my God, it's,
Oh, dude, that game has a. I have one of my
love that
greatest
game.
all-time gaming experiences is from that game. Like, there's a mission where you go to the moon, like our Earth moon, and I remember like driving around in the Mako and getting
I love
out
that
and
thing.
looking
it
up.
really
people who don't
well
like it.
and truly somehow lived up to its goal of being feeling like an epic space opera.
Oh, totally.
you're
Did it.
totally right.
I remember
did it.
before that. This was before I was working
Sorry,
in the
Monty.
industry, but I remember reading a review that opened with, "Not since 1977 have I been transported to a world this fully realized." And I was like, "That's a Star Wars reference. That's super crazy to me because I didn't think like a game could live up to Star Wars."
I actually kind of agree that it does, though, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, like I said, I was driving around the moon on the Mako, and I get out at some point, and I look up, just exploring the
Like
world.
that's
and
the thing you
there's-
mentioned, though. You're like, this world is so immersive. I was in this weird
I was on this space rock.
jumpy truck.
Yeah, no, but like the point is, I get
Yeah,
out.
you could see Earth.
And I looked up at the sky and I saw Earth, and right there on my TV, I did the whole covering it with your thumb thing, and I remember thinking like, wow, like I'm on a different planet here. It's crazy, man.
I
It's
think
super
like
crazy.
one of the most angry that I've been in a game was when my Rex died.
Oh yeah.
And I actually probably for the first time when I've ever played a game put the controller down and just walked away. I was like, I'm out. And people are like, why don't you just reload your save? I'm like, you can't do that in Mass Effect. That's
Yeah.
cheating.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was so affected. I was
Just
so
walk
angry.
I had a legit like crisis deciding who to save, Ashley or Caden.
Well,
that
obviously
was
you killed the
easy.
racist woman,
Well, so
No,
I saved her.
The dude, what's his face was annoying.
but she's super racist, Ryan.
He
I think the
I
technical
wait,
term
hold on.
is
Racist.
I went renegade as F in that game. So.
Are you saying
Oh,
racism?
No, I'm just saying bad. It was
Ryan's character didn't
I
give a
took the most
fuck.
awful evil route I possibly could.
That's the one. Like I think
all
it's
three
Mass Effect
games.
1 where you punch the reporter.
No,
right?
that-
is that 2?
That's
No, that was shit. One or two.
I think that's two.
Okay. I definitely remember a renegade option. Oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking
because
of
in
Jessica
2,
Chobot in 3. You don't get to punch her.
because in 2 that's
like
when you
Jessica
actually pull the
Chobot.
triggers during the cutscenes, right?
In
The dialogue
2
scenes. That's in 2.
In 2, there's the one guy you throw off a building if
Right.
you do
Yeah.
renegade.
No, but there's
which
one
was
where like a
incredible.
reporter asks you a
Yeah,
question
and
that's
you deck her.
skirting the line, and if you do the renegade option, you just knock her out.
Right.
Which is
That's right.
hilarious.
Oh god.
I remember
And I
watching my
did that.
roommate do that, and I was
I
like,
did that.
"What?"
Well, at the
just like
end
Mass
of
Effect
every
1.
level of Catherine, you get to go to a bar and order drinks.
Ah,
answer some cool
Marty's
questions.
type
And
of
answer
game.
cool questions.
Yeah, I like Catherine.
Also,
Deadly
Halo 3
Premonition is better.
is my other one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, your
No-
mom's dead.
No
Sorry.
Halo game has done scope better than Halo 3 to date, I think. That part
argue
where
with
right about that, yeah.
is it it's not the Forward Unto Dawn, is it? Where it like comes swinging in onto the level, like, you know what I'm talking about? There's this level where you're primarily on vehicles. You're in a desert level. I forget what it's called, and like you drive to the edge.
Savo
after-
Highway?
No, it's not.
That's the immediately I thought of the
Yeah,
highway.
no, not the highway one. You're not in a tank the whole time, but you're in a Scorpion and a bunch of other vehicles, and you're driving out towards like the edge of like this level where the world is, and then all of the marine chatter is like the Forward Unto Dawn or some big frigate is going to come in, and they're like, I didn't even know you could bring those into orbit, and then all of a sudden this massive spaceship, I think it's the Forward Unto
I don't
Dawn,
remember
It comes
that.
out of hyperspace.
yeah, comes out of hyperspace and swings into
Yeah,
the
I remember
atmosphere and
that.
lands right next to you and drops a bunch of warthogs and tanks for you to continue the level on.
Oh,
and I remember being like,
yeah, it's towards the end. I remember that
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
this
right
Yeah.
towards
huge
the end.
moment,
Yeah,
and I'm
that's,
just like,
that's like one of the
whoa.
lost levels. Like,
Yeah.
totally remember that.
it's so cool, man.
That
Like
was
I remember that
That's
that
like that
felt
desert
like a
level that
movie.
has like there's little bits of caves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I forget what
Stuff,
it's
good
called.
stuff.
Pretty sure it's the 4.
I haven't played Halo 3 since it came out, actually. So.
Oh man, that game.
Good stuff.
behind.
So
And
no more awesome packing game.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets it was on the hard drive.
See?
I mean, also Gears of War.
Many people's first ever achievement was in Hexic.
Yeah.
Mine probably was. Excellent
I'm
console.
pretty
What a
sure mine
console.
was Spider-Man 3, actually. Oh, Gun. No, it would have been Gun. Who am I kidding? Would have been Gun. I'm sorry.
What about Alan Wake?
I won't talk about it. I finished that game.
All
I have
right.
several achievements in that game.
Several.
Multiple.
Finally, any Kickstarter backers of Mighty Number 9 here?
I did back it actually. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. I'm a
Ha-
big Mega Man fan.
Have you been waiting for like 2.5 years?
Kinda.
Are you sick of the delays?
On Kickstarter, I'm very I'm not one of these people who's super adamant about the things that I kickstart because I know that it's a risk, but I'll back something that I believe in and then I forget about it until I get an email that it's coming out. So no, I really haven't been waiting about it.
All right,
waiting
so
for it.
you're unlike our friend Colin Moriarty. You are not
who is-
angry about this.
Yeah. It'll come when it comes.
Numerous delays for Mighty Number 9, the Mega Man spiritual successor by Mega Man creator Keiji Inafune, has finally been given what is being called a concrete release date, June 21st. For real.
Funny if they announce it.
Seriously.
It's delayed.
June 21st. That's the same day as No Man's Sky.
That is the same day
Yes,
as No Man's Sky.
which is an interesting choice.
So, but yeah, it's certainly relevant to the Xbox audience because, to the best of my knowledge, it's really the only significant Xbox release out that month, other than I think Lego
Force
Star Wars.
Dimensions.
So that and Lego Star Wars are about the only.
I think I said Force Dimensions.
That's a
I'd play
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
it. That's cool.
So take note. If you backed it on Kickstarter, circle your calendar. Probably should still do it in pencil if I were you, but hopefully this will
Yeah,
finally
that's
be
a
it.
thing that happened.
Alana Pierce, what can we spend our money on this week?
Retail, Battleborn. I actually just bought some Battleborn figures because apparently they look very bad. We saw that on the Reddit, so I'm gonna make a video of how good or bad those actually do.
All right.
Digitally, we have Super Hot, pronounced Super
hot.
You reviewed that.
which was
So good.
Actually, the second game I reviewed this year, I think I gave it a 7.5, but in my head, it's more of like an 8.5.
Yeah,
A weird disconnect there.
for
I
me-
think that game's great.
I totally agree. I played it basically on your recommendation, and on PC. I loved it. I feel like it was just long enough. Like it was just starting to kind of wear out its hook.
Yeah, I mean, my main criticisms in the review, which you can read, it's on IGN, were that it just kind of had one format and then stuck with that format the whole time and never really developed anything. So it was
Yeah.
like all the levels just kind of had more people or in different environments, but they were really all the same thing. So
They're just fun to pull off, though.
I mean, they were very fun. And then watching it back in real time. Super
Yeah.
Hot's fantastic time-bendy game.
It won't quite be the same on a gamepad because there's those keyboard parts where you're typing back and forth to the
I mean, I thought all that stuff was super lame, though. You liked that, didn't you?
I mean, I don't
thought it
know.
was terrible.
I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not, and maybe not. I thought it brought a little smile to my face. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I liked that it typed and then it would come up with actual dialogue, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's $22.50, and for $22.50, yeah, it's totally worth it. We also have the Park, which is $11.69, and Marty, you just reviewed that one.
Yep, I gave it a 7.0. It's sort of like Gone Home, Vanishing of Ethan Carter, narrative-driven first-person game. You're a woman who loses her child in a spooky amusement park. Things go very badly.
Now there is literally on Major Nelson's site on the download page for this, there is a warning placed on this that says that the game contains content that may be disturbing to some people.
Yeah, it deals with especially the.
Is it because there's kid stuff in it?
Yeah, I think
think
it's because
so.
there's kid stuff.
Yeah.
It deals with stuff that some of the Silent Hill games have dealt with. So without going into spoilers,
Yeah.
I mean some relatively messed up things that a lot of horror games don't do. I thought it was effective, if not wholly original. But if you like spooky games, it's about 90 minutes long. But
Spoopy?
that's the spoopy games.
I'm learning. See,
Yeah, spoopy. You
does.
are
Old
you
old
are in
dog,
touch
new
with the
tricks.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about 90 minutes. $11. It's like the price of a movie. If you like scary stuff, go ahead and do it.
Woohoo.
Nice.
We also have DC Universe Online, which is for free.
It's good to
And-
see another MMO getting onto Xbox One because there
Yeah.
there
Still
haven't
the
been too
greatest
many of them.
Cinematic trailer.
It was a really good trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really good trailer.
Yeah.
I think I might actually download that. And Paranautical
The trailer?
Activity for $10.
Paranautical activity.
Yeah.
It's like the
Just sounds like
movie.
a- it sounds like a
covering
spoof,
the,
doesn't it?
the original press release of this, but I can't remember what the game is about.
Is it scary underwater? Or is
Is
it
it
cheesy underwater?
Boats.
It's probably boats and whatnot.
I mean, yeah. I assume it's
Spoopy boats.
Ryan's getting on board with spoopy. What's going
fun
on?
with the spoops. On Marketplace, for May Games of Gold, we have Defense Grid 2 all month long, which I really like, and Costume Quest 2, which is May
Not
16
yet.
to June 15.
Yeah.
I like that game.
I haven't actually played that, but it sounds awesome.
It's really good.
I really like the sound of Costume Quest.
Greg Miller, big fan of that game.
Double Fine.
And on Xbox 360, we have Grid 2 from May 1 to May 15, and Peggle from May 16 to 31.
Literally one of the best puzzle games
Peggle?
ever. Yeah.
Damon
I don't know
Hatfield.
why I asked
Of
like it
all
was going to be
time.
Grid
Big Peggle
2.
fan.
I
It's
mean-
obviously not Grid 2.
There was a year where Damon only talked about Peggle.
I think it
That
is.
was pretty great.
I own that game on 360 and on my iPhone. I think it's legitimately in the Tetris category.
Wow, that's high praise.
No, I
Yeah,
feel that.
the game's brilliant. It's just and even my wife likes that game. She has it on her phone and she doesn't play any video games. It's just it's
Just Peggle.
that pure of an experience.
Pure goal.
Oh.
I'm with you. All right, let's come right back and we will do the Unlock Block trivia game. We'll give away the Xbox One. Finish strong, Unlock Block. No, that's a. You want to nod? Yes.
Yes.
No, I was
Be
not, she was looking
optimistic.
weird. She's doing a weird face.
Oh, that weird nose into the mic thing. That.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Yes.
We've all been there.
Looking weirdly into the camera. Let's give away an Xbox One, shall we? It is a Quantum Break Xbox One bundle courtesy of Microsoft. Thank you to our friends at Microsoft for saying, hey, want to give this away on your podcast? And we said, sure, thanks.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And our winner, I want all residents, all listeners from Grand Forks, North Dakota to be on the edge of their seat right now. Because I know there must be thousands of listeners in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Several.
Clayton
At least
Marty.
one. Oh, I'm sorry, I ruined your announcement.
Definitely not my fake name.
He has
Damn it,
won.
Marty.
Clayton, you've won a Quantum Break Xbox One bundle, courtesy of Microsoft, for submitting this trivia question, which I'm going to pull up our scoring now, see how we're doing.
What
But
is our that's
I keep forgetting to bring it in.
I sold it to a pawn shop in the Tenderloin.
Damn it, Marty.
Marty.
You had one job.
Wasn't it to sell it to a pawn shop and get
No.
booze money? Ah, dang.
There's obviously some miscommunication
all right.
somewhere.
We've got the Ghost of Mitch with 6, Marty with 6, a chance to bury the Ghost of Mitch once
Never
and
gonna
for
do
all
that.
here,
I'm never
Marty.
gonna do that. I'm gonna throw every single one now.
Shark at 2, Alana with 2 as well. Plenty of year left to get back into it and have a chance to win that trophy. And our question from Clayton Marty is this. In Halo, each alien species has an English name given to them by the humans, as well as a name in their native tongue. If you've read the Halo books, as I have read some of, I think, Sean, you might have as well.
I've
Nope.
even
No.
read the encyclopedia, actually.
What
yeah,
is-
I don't know this.
What is the native name for the brutes? Is it the Huragok, the Ungoi, the Girolani, or the Kigyar? I only knew this because I've read a few of the Halo
I have
books.
too, and I'm not
Literally
I
a shot in
think,
the
but I'm
dark
not
here.
certain at all.
So everybody please mark your answer. Don't ask me to pronounce those again. They're on the page in front of you.
I like how we don't
Shark
have to bleep
struggling.
every time that Sean says "fuck."
It's only the letters F, U, 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 U. That's not, you don't have to censor that.
Yeah, that's a meme on the interwebs
Yeah.
called Rage Face.
Alana, very protective. Okay, that's a letter. We're gonna count that. We'll go to the shark first.
I went with A. Huragok. It just sounds like something they'd say to themselves.
Alana, the
I'm
brutes,
pretty sure it's B.
the Ungoi. Okay, Marty.
I want to C because it's got the most letters.
That's chill.
Marty's strategy pays off.
No! I
Yeah.
almost went with that one too.
Girolani.
It
Good
was
job, Marty.
And I've never even read the dumb Halo encyclopedia.
Yeah.
I just read the actual encyclopedia.
Marty taking the lead
aardvark.
for 2016 in the quest for
Oh,
the Essie
no,
Trophy.
bitch.
Killed Mitch.
He's got 7 points. These two fine folks with 2 points apiece. Again, still long time to go in 2016 before that. That trophy is by no means Marty's yet.
Yeah,
In
because
fact,
it
it
belongs to
is-
the pawn shop.
He sold it.
If you would like a chance to win, I don't have another Xbox One, but I do have plenty of Xbox One games and backwards compatible 360 games that'll play on your Xbox One. Please send your Xbox related trivia question, including 4 multiple choice answers. Please note the correct one in your email. And send that to where, Alana?
Unlocked at IGN.com.
Little louder.
Unlocked at IGN.com.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
We got it.
It was very uncertain.
That's okay.
I don't know how. I mean, you say it every week, but
Mitch could never remember it either.
All right.
I need to get on.
That's
I'm
my
not even
thing.
on that. Oh no, I can't
You
be on
don't-
that one.
Yeah, you'd be cheating if you were on it.
Gotcha.
I mean, theoretically.
Yeah,
So
I'd probably be cheating.
Yeah.
yeah,
I am
don't
actually
worry,
on it.
Don't
That's
worry
why
about
I'm
it.
winning. Saboteur.
Don't tip your hand. All right, let's go, shall we?
Oh, we should give shout outs to an IGN app.
Yep.
Did you do that? No.
Let's do that.
You can
Watch
download app.
these 4 lovely faces on your biggest screen in your house.
And also on
via-
youtube.com/IGN Unlocked, which is our new YouTube channel.
Subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Mhm.
It's a happening place to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the show will exist. That's where the breakouts will exist on YouTube. We're going to start doing some Let's Plays.
Thank you for curating that, by the way, because I don't
Yeah.
have time.
Yeah, it's cool. Marty and I have both been in the comments there, which is fun. So
Yeah, everyone's
you
been
chat
super
to people
cool.
in there, and yeah, that's cool. And that's a thing that you can do. Also, you should play Super Hot. So
We should really start. We should book our
Let's Play times.
our what, Time Sweeper, Blink's Time Sweeper Let's Play.
Which one
We
do you
just
want?
have to-
Ryan, we already did.
Oh snap!
Did we for real?
No, that was a
No.
Blinks joke.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I don't know if
He's a
you guys
time
did.
Oh no,
Who
I don't know
wants
if
to
you-
do a let's play of the Ark with me?
It's a
on
cat
Halo
with a
3?
vacuum.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a
I
cat
looked
with
it
a
up
vacuum.
while we were off camera. That level we were talking about in Halo 3 where the ship comes out, it is the Ford Antidon, it is the Ark. We're going to do a let's play of that for you people.
Why
on
not?
Why not?
YouTubes.
It's an awesome level.
do the thing.
Yeah,
At least we can just do it on Master Chief Collection.
exactly, yeah.
Blinks, we're gonna have to actually find an original Xbox.
I have it in my safe.
There's
that a
one
pig?
in
Do
the
you for real?
display case over
That's
there.
a real nice pig.
Thanks.
Marty drew a
No, I
pig.
don't have. I don't have it in my display.
I don't
I don't
know
have
where
a
mine
safe.
is. I literally don't know where my original Xbox is.
Mine's probably at my parents' house.
I think it's in my attic somewhere.
We have one in the console display case.
I have one in Australia. if
work?
That's helpful at all.
I don't know.
No.
No,
Probably
not
not
at
so
all,
much.
actually.
Thanks,
No.
though.
It's opposite of helpful.
Well, I tried.
We'll get.
Hinderful.
Maybe Phil Spencer can send us one.
Send us an actual cat with an actual Oh, a cat with a vacuum on its back would be cute.
Eh?
Yeah.
What?
How about for Halloween?
Blinks was a
Oh,
vacuuming cat.
God, you really in with the Blinks jokes, man.
It's not a joke. I really like that game.
Oh,
He super does.
Yeah.
okay.
We're gonna play it. I haven't played it in like a decade.
Neither
or
have I.
more, so it'll be interesting to see how it holds up.
Probably not.
IGN Prime, help us out, help yourself out. Give us $30 for 1 year, and we'll give you 1 year of no ads in front of videos or on the site. Go to IGN.com/Prime, and we can make that little transaction. It'll be good.
Yeah. Leave the money on the dresser.
It's also like a really cool thing because no one ever talks about how many people use ad block and how it's killing websites.
How it is, yeah.
And people will be like, "This is a clickbait article," and you're like, "We need to make money." Yes, I'm sorry.
And then a bunch of people are like, your video player sucks. These are all the issues with it. And they list a whole bunch of issues that only happen because they have ad block.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
like,
that.
Well, yeah.
Maybe
Yep.
consider turning off ad block. Hopefully, we didn't just give a bunch of people the idea to act like, wait, I can ad block? What?
But it breaks everything. And oh.
Please don't.
Way to
And
go,
next
Alana.
time, if you
appreciate
keep
it.
using it, next time I might not
I
be here.
wanna feed my daughter.
It's just gonna
Please don't
encourage
use
them.
ad block.
People are like, "Oh, we can get them all fired if we start using ad block." This is a terrible idea. We should stop.
Thanks, Lana.
Yeah, let's
I'm
move
sorry.
on. Find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. There is a link there if you want to buy this shirt. Not literally this one. This one's mine, but we can have one specially printed for you. What else? Oh, this month's May's IGN First is a bit of a different approach. We're doing a countdown to E3, 4 games, 1 per week. This week, Lego Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens. No joke. This, in all seriousness, so the first day we put up an 8-minute gameplay video, which is commentated over by one of the developers at TT Games. I haven't looked at a Lego game in a while. Like, they're always just good, but
Yeah.
I don't make a point to pick them up. Visually speaking, like,
Gorgeous.
Lego Star Wars Episode 7 looks incredible.
Yeah.
It looks the lighting is amazing. The characters it pretty much looks like the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Like it looks that good.
gorgeous.
I mean, haven't they really had like as far as aesthetics go, like a pretty good track record as far as the games?
They always
like,
look
Traveler's
fine.
Tales
They always
has-
look pretty
yeah,
good.
they
Yeah,
always
but
look
they
fine.
keep
But
recently.
I'm just
getting
saying
better.
it
Yeah.
looks. This looks really good.
They've
Yeah.
gone Super Saiyan.
Like super good. So check that out. Lego Star Wars this week. Next week is a game that I can't say yet.
Ooh, so
But
you'll definitely want to
You
check
can't
it
say
out.
what
then.
any of them are.
I mean,
he just
I
said
guess
what
I
one
won't.
is.
I could say 2 of them, but I won't.
Good.
And I can't say what next week's is.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
We can say
It's
that,
very
yeah.
alluring.
There's,
Whatever.
I'm
It'll
very
be
excited.
fun.
I'm very excited for all of them.
Yeah, it's one game a week, 1 game per week. There'll be 2 to 3 features per game per week. So look out for that. Sean Finnegan.
Follow me on Twitter at ShopByFinnegan.
And scene. You can follow me on Twitter at Charlanazad. I today have completed a Disney Infinity Toys documentary about how they turn a character like Kylo Ren from concept art into a Disney Infinity
That's
toy. So
Super
very excited
awesome.
about that.
I legit want to watch that.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it as well. It took us a very long time to put together, but it's actually up today for May the
Great.
4th.
Cool. I am on everything at McBiggity. Just be nice. Or don't. It
Good
doesn't
advice. No, stick.
Okay, be
stop.
nice. Be nice.
Yeah,
Sorry, it does matter.
There.
Okay.
That's good.
It matters.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody. We will see you all next week. God, we only have 6 shows till E3.
We gotta
It's
do. We gotta do a
ridiculous.
prediction episode soon.
Oh, I hate doing those because I'm always wrong and terrible, and you guys are also
Womp
smart.
womp.
Stop it.
Also, we have insider information, so we cheat.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.